Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Talk Sox video. There are whispers in the air about a very big MLB player, possibly, I'm saying this, I'm gonna say it one more time, possibly making their way from the good old country of Canada all the way over to our humble abode of of Fenway. And Brandon, I want to hear your thoughts about this. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Let me hear your thoughts, initial thoughts.
Yeah, so this is a rumor that's been floated around the last couple weeks. There's been stuff popped up here and there in different outlets. We've talked about it here on Talk Sox quite a bit. I think, look, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a great baseball player. He will be one of the two best free agents that hit the market next year, alongside Kyle Tucker. We what we know is that he rejected a $350 million extension offer from the Blue Jays, so it's going to cost more than that, probably in the 400 to 500 million range, potentially even above 500 million. He's in his prime. He's only, I believe, 26 this season. I think he turns 26 in the middle of March. So he'll be 27 before his next contract starts. So he's in the middle of his prime. He's a very good first baseman. He's had two really good seasons, including 2024, as well as 2021 when he finished second in MVP voting. Look, he would make any team better. Man, the idea of the Red Sox crippling their division rival, the Blue Jays, by signing their best player that they've had probably in the last 10, 15 years since Jose Bautista was in his prime. I mean, that's a crazy idea, especially given the money it'll take.
We've talked a lot on in videos about, how I think that the Red Sox have suffered a lot defensively. Also, we could talk about probably for ages about how Vladimir Guerrero Jr., being this I use the word young buck a lot, is a power hitting threat. Let's say that for another time. Let's talk about defensively. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at first base, and then, we could also talk about our other new player possibly going to third. Let's take Rafael Devers for a second off third and put Alex Bregman at third. So we have these
Yeah.
two guys at the corners. What a defensive team, what a defensive lineup that could be. I am jonesing to see that personally.
Yeah, no, I mean, Brett Bregman won a Gold Glove at third base in 24. Guerrero won a Gold Glove at first base in 22, and he's still regarded as one of the better first base defenders in the league. You're absolutely right. I mean, obviously, you're signing those guys as right-handed power bats to take aim at the Green Monster. I mean, that's why you're giving those guys that kind of money. But yeah, I mean, obviously, defensive contributions matter, especially, the Red Sox have some ground ball pitchers on the team. And, if you have an infield defense with, if you could convince Rafael Devers to just play DH and stop complaining, you could have, if you keep Bregman and sign Guerrero, which would take a lot of money, but you could have Christian Campbell at second, who's a pretty solid defender. If maybe Trevor Story's hopefully still healthy at short, maybe Marcelo Meyer, whoever. But then you have Bregman and Devers on the corners, and they obviously have, the Red Sox obviously have a really good outfield defense. You're looking at a team that doesn't just have a really strong and deep lineup, which they would with Guerrero. They'd also have one of the best defensive teams and depth charts in baseball, which, yeah, maybe their starting pitching isn't as good as the Yankees, but if you have the defense and the offense to make up for that, I mean that's a World Series contending team.
And, we're not only here to talk about like the Red Sox news overall. If you want to look at, what would this do to a team like the Blue Jays? I think this
Yeah.
would send the Blue Jays into a little bit of a spiral.
hmm
Losing a player like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., somebody that has been on their team since 2019. Again, I don't mean to keep comparing it to Alex Bregman, but I think when the White Sox, excuse me, when Houston lost Alex Bregman, it was such a blow to them. But the Blue Jays, again, being the rivals to the Red Sox, it's going to be, again, it's all speculative, but a huge blow if they lose Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, obviously, if the Blue Jays lose Guerrero Jr. at all to anyone, it's going to be a serious problem for them because they don't have that star talent outside of him to keep the roster afloat, and they'd probably have to go into a pretty deep rebuild. But losing him to a division rival, especially like the Red Sox, who are, on the rise with all their young talent, that would be an issue for the Blue Jays, for the rest of the division too. But it would be an issue for them because you'd have, an in his prime Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell and all these young super, Rafael Devers still in his prime. The Red Sox would have the best offense in baseball for quite a few years. So, I mean, again, this is as we pointed out, this is just a rumor. That we're still a year away from any of this even transpiring and hearing rumblings on the free agent market. But it's an exciting one. And I think more importantly, the signing of Alex Bregman makes me more confident that the Red Sox are going to be willing to open their wallet to this degree. Obviously they gave Devers a $300 million extension, but if you sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to $500 million contract, yeah, it would bump the payroll up quite a bit, but they'd be a World Series contender.
I would have to agree with that. I think that right now what we're seeing with the Red Sox, I think every team kind of goes through a restructuring phase. And I think that 2025 was, at least for, free agents, this was the year of restructuring. We saw it with Bregman. We saw it with getting Garrett Crochet. In the next year, who knows? Maybe they say, look, we've spent a lot of money. Maybe we're going to pull back. But again, it's all speculative. We have to keep mentioning that. But again, to get somebody like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., if we continue this restructuring, what a powerhouse that would be. Again, we would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Is this could this be one of the greatest lineups? Probably, but we'd love to hear your comments and thoughts down below.